So you're a physio from overseas, and you've got your sights set on practicing in Australia. Awesome. But let's be real, figuring out how to make that happen can feel, well, a bit complicated. So in this explainer, we're going to demystify the whole thing and give you a clear guide. You've got the degree, you've got the experience, you're ready to go. So what's the actual process for getting registered to work down under? That's the big question we're going to tackle right now.
Okay, first things first. You got to know who's who in the zoo. There are 3 main organizations that you'll be dealing with, and knowing what each one does is step 1.
Right at the top, you've got the Physiotherapy Board of Australia. Think of them as the ultimate regulators. They set the standards, they handle complaints, and most importantly, they're the ones who officially register you. No registration with them, no practicing. Simple as that. Okay, now this next one, super important for you. The Australian Physiotherapy Council, or APC. They are the assessors. They're the group that's going to look at your qualifications from back home and see how they stack up against Australian standards. You'll get to know the APC pretty well.
And rounding out our top 3 is the Australian Physiotherapy Association, the APA. These guys are your support system, your professional community. Once you're in, they're there to advocate for you, offer professional development, all that good stuff. All right, so you know the players. Now for the really important part. Choosing your assessment pathway. What's it going to be? APP, FlyR, or Express FlyR? Your choice here really depends on where you got your degree. So think of this like a fork in the road. On one side, you've got the APP pathway. This is kind of the main highway for most international physios. But on the other side, you've got the FlyR pathways. These are like an express lane for people with qualifications from certain countries.
Let's talk more about that express lane, because who doesn't love a shortcut, right? The FlyR pathways are designed to get you registered faster. Why? Because the training in these specific countries is already seen as being really similar to what's taught in Australia.
Okay, so there are 2 types of FlyR. First up is the Express FlyR pathway. If you did your training in Canada, the UK, Ireland, Hong Kong, or South Africa, this one's for you. It is, without a doubt, the fastest track to getting registered.
Then you have the standard FlyR pathway. This is for physios who qualified in the Netherlands, Singapore, Sweden, or the United States. It's still a streamlined route, definitely faster than the main alternative, but it might have an extra step or 2 compared to the express version. Best bet is to always check the APC website for the latest details. So what if your country wasn't on those lists? No worries. For everyone else, the journey is called the Australian Physiotherapy Entry Pathway, or APEP. This is the standard, thorough process, so let's break down exactly what that looks like. All right, on to the standard pathway, APP. This is a step-by-step breakdown. It's a pretty detailed process, but the good news is a lot of it can now be done from wherever you are in the world. So the APP is basically 5 big steps. You start with an eligibility assessment and some online cultural safety training, which is super important for understanding healthcare in Australia. Then you've got 2 remote exams, a written one and then an oral one called the capability assessment. The only time you actually have to be in Australia is for a 1-day clinical workshop in Melbourne. Pass that and you get your final certificate and you're ready to apply for registration. Okay, let's talk about the practical stuff. Money and time. What's the investment? And what's the timeline look like for the APIP pathway in 2026? So here's how the fees break down for each stage of APEP in 2026. You've got the eligibility assessment, the training, and then the big ones are the written and capability assessments. The clinical workshop has a fee too. Seeing it laid out like this can really help you plan your budget. Add it all up, and you're looking at a total of 7,814 Australian dollars for the APEP pathway in 2026. Now, just remember, that's for the assessment fees themselves. It doesn't include things like your flights or hotel for that workshop in Melbourne. And hey, if you're on a FYR pathway, your costs will be different, so definitely check the APC site for your specific numbers. And to help you plan your year, here are the deadlines for the written assessment in 2026. They hold the exam 4 times a year, and you can see you usually need to apply about 2 months before the exam date. You'll want to get these dates in your calendar for sure. Phew. That was a lot of info, I know. So let's quickly recap the key takeaways for your journey to practice in Australia. Look, the biggest thing to remember is that there is a clear, structured path. Your first mission is to figure out if you're eligible for one of those faster FlyR pathways. If you're not, then the APP is your road. It's detailed, yes, but it's a journey with a very clear destination.
Looking at all this makes you think about the bigger picture. Australia's got this system, but every country does it differently. As more and more health professionals move around the globe, it raises a really interesting question. How can countries get better and faster at recognizing these vital skills without ever compromising on patient safety? It's something we'll all be thinking about more in the future. Thanks for tuning in.